to key positions. And that includes the choice for ambassador to NATO, Matt Whitaker. The Daily Signal has a new article about that. And joining us now is Daily Signal columnist Jarrett Stepman. Jarrett, Whitaker has kind of changed his position on Ukraine, right? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And yes, I think he has shifted a bit, certainly since 2022, when he said that he wanted more heavy arms shipments going to Ukraine. He was very much saying that he thought that Poland was possibly in the sights of Russia during that time. I do think he has shifted. I think his more recent statements is that he wants to draw down the war in Ukraine. He wants peace there, much like President Donald Trump has said, I think very vociferously on the campaign trail. I think it's very much in American interests. I think that's what he said. And so I do think he has shifted on that issue a little bit. And maybe it's because of facts on the ground. I think that's part of the evolving situation that we now have there in Ukraine. And I think he's a guy who's had a lot of, I think, personal support of Trump over the years, is very close to Trump's ideas on this issue.
You know, when it comes to China, let's shift gears real quickly. You know, when you think about who the enemy is for the American people, I think a lot of times we're kind of through the way Hollywood portrays Russians. I think this shift happened years ago. Totally different subject, though. But let's talk about China for a second. I mean, are we entering a possible new war with China as they ramp up their military and as what we've destroyed ours for the most part over the last 4 years? Get your thoughts on that.
Very, very possibly. I think Trump's position, I think, has generally been that, he wants peace with all countries of the world, including China. I think that the question is how can we do that, especially as China, I think, acts very aggressively in the South China Sea, very aggressively toward Taiwan. They even have a report essentially trying to prepare their military for potential attack on Taiwan by 2027. They want to be prepared for that. I think Trump understands, and reorienting American policy toward containment of China. This is not about wanting to go to war with China. We want peace. Certainly, but we do have to be prepared for a potential confrontation. We have to be prepared for the rise of a very powerful state. China represents a threat to the United States that no country has really since World War II. They are a massive industrial economy, a far greater threat than Russia has ever been. And I think Trump understands that. I think the American people understand that. I think the events of the last 4 or 5 years, I think, have confirmed that. And this is a very important part of any administration, is dealing with this threat and rebuilding the American industrial base and the military to counter that.
Well, Jarrett, a lot of people seem to be mischaracterizing the Trump victory as a hard right move by the American people. But the Daily Signal has this piece by Victor Davis Hanson explaining that this election has more to do about the voters endorsing basic common sense. What do you think about this?
Yeah, a funny thing, I think, after all, is that this really is the voters saying that they want to return to normalcy. This is a rejection of the cultural revolutionary forces that we saw in 2020 that were burning out of control. I mean, this is the reason now that we have wildly sky-high inflation. This is what tried to interject race into every aspect of American life. I think a lot of the chaos of 2020, the defund the police movement, the BLM movement, I think Americans have grown quite fatigued with these things. They see these things as aggressive forces. And when you combine that with the clear lawfare that was engaged in by the Democrat Party, by the Biden administration, you see America transforming into something that we've never been, a banana republic, a potentially authoritarian society. I think that the bringing back of Trump, funny enough, is for the American people a return to normalcy. That's not going far to the right. That's a rejection of the chaos that the far left has brought to the United States. And I think that's what Hanson was trying to say in this article. And I think that it does reflect the attitude of the American people. So I think Trump has a mandate to do those things. You can see a vast cultural shift happening in the United States, rejection of those cultural revolutionary forces.
Well, Jarrett Stepman, thank you for joining us this morning. So interesting.